You know how it is when you pick up a new book and you start reading it, and within 3 pages, you just love it. You can't put it down. Maybe it's the characters, maybe it's the plot that grabs you, or maybe it's just the author's voice. Whatever it is, you love it, you love it, and you're so glad you found it. And you also know what it is to find a story, and within a few pages, you just can't stand it. You don't want to spend any time with these characters. You're not interested in the author's voice. It just doesn't do it for you. You like this, you don't like that. And you also know that for every book that you like, there's someone who doesn't like it. You recommend it to them, they go, couldn't be bothered. Or someone tries to tell you about a book they love, and you just don't want anything to do with it. It's been going on your whole life, because it's not just books, it's also the music you listen to, shows you watch, the movies you enjoy, the furniture you buy, the food you eat, the people you hang around with. You like this, you don't like that. You like this, you don't like that. This is an expression of your unique inner aesthetic. We all have it. And we have spent our lives seeking satisfaction for it. Now, it evolves, it changes, as I have spoken about in past episodes. So what you loved when you were 10, you might not love when you're 30. But you're always looking to satisfy it. You're always looking to satisfy it. And when you do, the pleasure, the sort of at peaceness of that, the gratitude. But when you don't, doesn't it kind of grate you sometimes? Doesn't it irritate you a little bit? I remember once I read a book when I was a young man, big, fat novel. I loved this first book this author had written, and he wrote this big, ambitious novel. And it was a big bestseller. And I read and read and read this thing. I mean, it was like 700 pages. So I was in, and I was reading and reading and reading all through the summer. And it had me. But as it got towards the end, I was starting to get a funny feeling about it. And when I finally got to the last chapter, then the last scene, then the last page, and then the last sentence, and I saw where he had left me. And I found it so unsatisfying, so frustrating and meaningless and pointless that he had taken me on this long journey and left me somewhere I didn't want to be, that I didn't even understand. I sat there, I was reading it, I finished it, and I threw it. I threw it across the room. I was so mad. Perhaps you've had a similar experience. We can get frustrated when we see stuff we don't like. Well, what do you do? What do you do when the thing you don't like, the thing you're reading, because sometimes it's a whole book, but sometimes it's just a chapter or a paragraph or a sentence in a book you do like. What if the thing you're not enjoying is something you've written, right? Because as I said in an earlier episode, the main questions we ask are, what are the stories I want to tell and have I told them? Well, sometimes when you read your own stuff and you're saying, have I told it? You have the same experience you have reading something someone else wrote with your own piece, which is, this doesn't do it for me. Now, with the stuff that other people have written, there's nothing you can do about it, but maybe throw it across the room or put it down. But you can't do that but with your work, I should say, you can change it. However, because we have this other experience of other people's work and the feeling of dissatisfaction, sometimes when we read our own work, we forget that the one who is not satisfied is us. It is not other people who are feeling unsatisfied with our work. But we play this game with ourselves as writers sometimes, where as soon as we read something we don't like, we're ashamed of it, as if the entire world has seen it, and all of the world that has read it has the same experience you have when you read something you don't like. And that's not what's happened. All that's happened is you weren't satisfied. You did not meet your own satisfaction, which is the real job of the writer. How do I please myself? That's what you're trying to do. Soothe, satisfy, meet your own inner aesthetic. You know, you will probably, if you're watching this or listening to this, you perhaps buy books on writing. Maybe you've even bought some of mine. We've taken classes, and that's great. You want to learn how to write, and that's wonderful. You should learn how to write, however you do it. And I teach writing, and I like to help people learn about stories and about detail and description and all that kind of stuff. And it's good to learn. You got to learn it somehow. Maybe you'll learn it in a class. Maybe you'll learn it on your own. But the real thing you're trying to learn, that a lot of I notice in my students, is they think they're trying to learn how to write a memoir or write a personal essay, but they're not. What they're trying to learn how to write is a personal essay that satisfies them. They're trying to learn how to write a memoir, in my case, in my class's case, that satisfies them. And that's what you're actually trying to learn how to do. And we think we're trying sometimes to learn how to write a good book, a good story. No, that's not what you're trying to do. You're trying to learn how to write the story that satisfies you. That's what you're trying to learn. And I can't tell you how to do that. And no book can tell you how to do that. No one can tell you how to do that, because only you know what that story is, and you may not know it till you see it. So if you can approach your work with a sense of learning, of saying, how do I satisfy myself? How can I make this please me? Now you are on a journey unique to you, but available to everyone. Yeah. All right. It's good to see you again. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this, hit subscribe. And if you really like it, well, leave a comment. I do respond to them. Yes, I do. So until next week, this is Bill Kenower. Stay fearless.